Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Little Shop of Nerds. I'm Julia.
Mike?
Oh, okay. I thought you was going to say something else. So, last week's hint was Men Are Pigs.
Today we're going to talk about my favorite Studio Ghibli film, Porco Rosso.
I have a couple issues with this one. Oh, yeah, and here's Chewy.
Not paying
Chewy's
attention.
visiting us today.
Only showing his tail.
Noelle might be in the bedroom. She's not out here right now. So, no Noelle, but you did get to see a little bit of Chewy. Yeah, so it was a good one. I've never seen Porco Rosso before now, so this is the first time I've ever seen it. But I do have a couple of
Concerns.
problems with it. It's extreme. It's got its sexist moments.
I think it was trying to do it was trying to make that point.
I mean, it was set in 1929, so I can kind of understand.
It was really sexist, but I think if you look at it, it looked like it was playing like those old time movies, like Singing in the Rain, or like supposed to be like an action adventure movie you see from the 50s and 60s. How it's playing.
Yeah. So, anyways, let's, I guess, get into it. It starts off showing a guy sitting on a beach, just kind of chilling. And then he gets a phone call saying that there was a boat that was being overtaken by pirates. Sea pirates, right?
Seaplane pirates.
Seaplane pirates. And he had to go and I don't know why they were taking the schoolgirls, but for some reason they were taking elementary schoolgirls, the pirates were, and then loot. So, I don't know why they were taking the little girls. Did they ever say why?
Oh, they were taking them as hostages just in case if they want to get more money out of the deal. That's what pirates are. They're greedy.
But they're elementary.
It didn't matter that those kids weren't scared.
I know these little girls definitely were not afraid of what was going on. They were just like, oh, cool, a plane.
And you know what's funny? In the moment they didn't act like pirates, they act like their father, like their fathers. Be like, no, you.
Yeah. So it's really like.
Kind of reminds me of Gary the Stormtrooper.
Yeah. If you guys don't know, Gary the Stormtrooper is from Robot Chicken, and he's always talking about how he like loves his daughter and stuff like that. Go check him. Go look it up on YouTube.
It's funny.
But yeah, so like they're taking these little girls. Porco arrives late. But they point him in the direction that he needed to go save the girls, and he goes and he saves the girls. And he basically let the pirates have enough loot to fix up their plane. But he did save the girls, and he took the rest of the loot back. The girls were running around with no dresses on. They just had like their bloomers on, so that was a little awkward for me.
Yeah, and they all can swim.
Yeah, they all took swimming lessons. So
and the funny part you need to know about I think his name is Marco, but they call him Porco.
Yeah.
Anyways, Marco's head looks like a pig.
Yeah, apparently it was a curse.
Which they never explain.
Yeah, but I guess the curse breaks later. But we'll get into that later. So after he saves the girls, he goes to this little hotel that's on like the whole hotel restaurant is just on an island, and that's a place for people to go, like people who fly seaplanes, and
every pirate outlaw is mostly at that restaurant, and everyone loves it so much.
Yeah. So the woman who runs it, I think her name is Gina.
Gina.
she's good friends with Marco. She has been friends with him for years.
And turns out one of his friends was a pilot, which was one of her husbands. Turns out she had 3 husbands that were pilots.
Yeah, they all have passed away while flying planes. Her latest husband, she waited 3 years to hear news about him, and and they did eventually find his remains. But before all of that, you see these group of pirates talking about how they needed to band together, and they needed to take down Porco Rosso. And Chewie's over there trying to squeak his toy, and he just Chewie. Oh, he's just gonna squeak his toy. But he just they're talking about, okay, well, the one of the guys they got to join him was an American who is voiced by Carrie Elwes or whatever. He's the dude that played Wesley in The Princess Bride. He was also in Twister and stuff like that. So he's not actually American. He is British, and it's so hilarious that he is the one that you have the one British guy that does the American voice or plays the American. But this American dude was very arrogant. And he wanted to marry Gina. Like, he basically proposed to her. Like,
yep.
Didn't even know anything about her, just proposed to her. And just, then we find out about, how Marco and Gina know each other and stuff like that. Well, he's kind of upset, because she, rebuffed his advances, Gina did. So, the American dude is kind of, a little just,
jealous,
upset because she didn't agree to marry him or whatever.
Yep.
So the next day they're
at it again. All the seaplane pirates are there. That's why they hired the American dude to take down Porco.
Yeah, because they were going to rob a bigger vessel, a bigger boat than whatever, and they're all fighting because they all just pirates don't work well together.
No.
But they all are, and let me tell you, a lot of the pirates look the same. And with this being a Studio Ghibli movie, you definitely see, Porco, or when Porco goes to get a new gun for his plane, one of the guys looks like Kamaji from Spirited Away.
See, I knew it. They did.
Yeah, so that's something that Studio Ghibli does, because Studio Ghibli has that very unique style. So a lot of their characters look like other characters from other movies that they have done in the past, just because it has that distinct style.
I know, right? I was looking, I'm like, that he looks like Kamaji.
Yeah. So, they just, they
pretty much do what they did. The pirates were having their scuffle. I think one's like, do we all chip in if one of our planes gets repaired? He's like, no, you're in charge of your own money.
Yeah, they're all fighting. They do. Porco does come in, and I think he does manage to save the vessel. But his plane does get heavily damaged. And he goes back to his little island that he lives on. And he's trying to repair it himself, but he's like, nah, I need to take it to my repair, or to the person who repairs my plane, who's in Milan, Italy.
Yeah. And he tells Gina, but here's the thing. Gina doesn't like that because he's a wanted man there. And I'm trying to figure out why he's wanted, or because of his plane or something.
Yeah. And I think and I know at one point, she was sitting in the garden, and the American dude, I can't even remember his name, he climbed over the wall into her private secret garden, and is like trying to like court her, but she's all like, no, that was after.
It was after.
Yeah. Okay. So he gets into like a little scuffle with Porco while he's on his way to Italy, and he does shoot him down, and they all think that he's dead. But he's not dead. He manages to get his plane to his repair, to the guy that repairs his plane. And he's like, hey, so where's all of your sons? And the old man's like, they all left. He's like, but my granddaughter Theo is here. Theo, okay, remember, Theo is 17. Okay? And her grandfather does tell Marco, don't touch her.
Yeah. Well, and he does what he does. He doesn't do it, and he was actually pretty much like a gentleman throughout the whole film. Pretty much telling the kid, hey, don't get attached or anything.
Yeah. So they end up. He wasn't going to have, and the guy's name is Piccolo. So she wasn't going to have Piccolo, or he wasn't going to have Piccolo fix his plane. Yeah, I know. DB, you're probably thinking about Dragon Ball. And he was going to take his business elsewhere, but she's like, no, just let me do it. I can do it. And she designs like a brand new plane for him, and he's like, okay, let's go for it. So then all of the women in the family come to help build his plane.
Yep.
And this is kind of like where his sexism is showing a little bit, because he's just like, why are they all women? And then he didn't want Theo to design his plane because she was a woman and she was 17 years old.
Well, he had no choice. His plane needed fixed, and pretty much they all. And
he couldn't really go anywhere else because he is a wanted man in Italy.
So they fixed it up, and like one of his old friends he used to be in the army with or the Air Force with, told him that they know you're here. They're going to find you, and once the plane was fixed, Porco said, "No, I'm not." Was it Theo? Is that her name, Theo?
Theo. F-I-O. Theo.
Theo wanted to go with Porco, but he said, no, you're not coming with me because I don't know if this thing will take off.
But she does eventually, he does allow her to go with him. And they were basically using her as a hostage. So, the family could say that they were forced to help him.
Yep.
And I guess he still owed a lot more money to Piccolo, because apparently he didn't have enough on him when he went in. But they do manage to get the plane up into the air. His friend that let them know that the government knew that he was there, like they're tailing him and stuff like that. So, his friend that let him know that they were tailing him let them know that, hey, you also, there's, they're up ahead with a trap, and he led them to safety. And then they did stop at one point to refuel, and then they went back to his island, correct, after that?
Back to his island and figuring stuff out.
Pirates were there.
Found his secret hideout, and Theo had the idea, is like, what about this? We put money on it, right? If the American wins, you have to pay his bill.
Yeah, because what was going on was before they went back to his island, Porco flew over Gina's place, let her know that he was alive and that he was safe.
But he doesn't stop, because she's hoping that if he stops by the restaurant, meaning that he wants to be with her. But if he passes, meaning he's not going to be with her.
Because she's in. Well, I mean, he never shows up to her restaurant during the day. He always shows up at nighttime.
Mm-hmm.
And she had told, because the American dude, he like, this is where he had climbed over the wall into her garden.
Mm-hmm.
And he was like, yeah, I wrote this screenplay and we are, Hollywood's going to produce it. He's like, I want you to come with me. And she's like, I can't because I'm in love with someone else. And then she's like, whoever stops by this, she wanted him to, Marco to stop by because she was in love with Marco. She just never really said it.
Yep.
And so then that, kind of pissed off the Americans. So then that's when he fell in love with Theo as soon as he saw Theo. Remember,
17.
Theo is 17. Marco is like old enough to be her father because I do believe that he said, or I think Theo doesn't know that that's Marco because she said that her father had served with Marco. And I don't think she knows that that's Marco.
Mm-hmm.
But so I don't know how old the American dude is, but he does look like he's probably old enough to be her father.
And
so then that's when they make the deal that if Porco wins, like, because they were going to do like a do-over of like the little battle that they had when his plane was damaged. So that's when, what Mike had mentioned that he has to pay Porco's bill, the rest of Marco's bill, if he win, or if Marco wins. But if the American dude wins, then Theo will become his bride.
Yep, and they're pretty much getting ready for the next day. Porco's counting bullets, checking his bullets, see if they're not rusting through. And for a minute, Theo sees Porco's real face. Then he tells the story how his friends died when he was in the war, First World War, pretty much. And he said he saw all the spirits of the pilots who flew in that battle going up, and he wanted to go, but she said maybe it's a sign that it wasn't your time yet. But either way, in my opinion, I think he chooses to let people to see his real face sometimes, but who knows?
Yeah. So the next day they have the battle. It did culminate into them just punching each other, like into like an all-out brawl because both of their one guy I think they both ran out of bullets, or at least one jammed. And Gina's missing the battle because she's hearing from Porco's friend in Italy that the Italian Air Force or whatever is on their way they heard about the fight and they were on their way to capture or arrest Marco. But Marco does end up winning the fight overall. And everybody takes off when they found out that, there was, that the Italian army was coming. So all of the pirates and everything, they went to Gina's hotel. Fucking Theo gave Marco a kiss on the lips before Gina took off with her because she went with Gina. Theo did. Remember, she's 17 and Marco is old enough to be her father.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of rubbed me wrong a little bit.
And they all flew away, and the Americans saw Marco's real face too, and they flew off. Theo told what happened, and they all the pirates are old now. She's older. She runs her grandfather's company, designing planes, and she goes by to see Gina once in a while. And the thing about Gina and Porco is pretty much a secret.
Yeah, we don't know if they ever got back together, if they ever got together or whatever. That's something we don't know. So I mean, with it being a Studio Ghibli movie, Studio Ghibli movies are very rarely a miss. And this is one of the movies that definitely was not a miss. This was a pretty good movie.
I give it an 8 out of 10.
Yeah, I'd give it an 8 out of 10 too. It was just the sexism from Marco and then the weird thing going on with Theo. Just kind of like made me a little bit. But other than that, like it was definitely a hit for me. But yeah. Anyways, I hope you all enjoyed that short that we uploaded last Friday where I threw deodorant at Mike. And if you haven't seen it, go check it out.
And you won't be surprised, I made a short talking about the prices of video games, and somehow we got up to 60, and when we made the one short throwing deodorant at me, got up to 61.
Yeah, so those of you that have subscribed since last week, when we put up our last video, thank you for, joining our little group here. I mean, I know that we're still fairly new to this. I mean, we've only been doing this podcast for about 2 years, almost 2 years. It'll be 2 years next month.
Yeah, and pretty much we just been doing this, and like I said, we like to get up to more subscribers and get up to more views. And here's the thing, we don't know what to talk about in life. Sometimes we can get lucky, sometimes we don't. So it just depends on what we do.
Yeah, if there's anything you guys want to hear, leave it in the comments below and we'll check it out. The thing is, neither Mike nor I are really into horror stuff. So,
yeah, we might not do much horror. Now, if it's like say Universal Studios, like say the old Frankenstein, maybe, but maybe not. But
I would like to do a video on Battle Royale. I don't know if any of you are familiar with Battle Royale. It's actually one of my favorite Japanese films. It is considered a horror film. If you guys would like to see, a video on that, we can do that for October if that's what you guys would like. Just, put it in the comments below, what you want us to watch, and we'll check it out. Whether it's anime, games, movies, comic books, manga. Because we are thinking about doing a video on manga. We're doing videos on manga, and that would probably be Mike would probably do the more obscure ones, and I would probably do some of the mainstream ones that came out in the early 2000s with Shoujo Beat and Shonen Jump.
Yep.
So those are probably the ones that I would do. If that's something you guys would like to see, let us know in the comments below.
Yep.
So I'm going to go ahead and give you next week's hint. And next week's hint is, you stupid hag. So, stick around for that, and we will see you guys next time. Bye.
Bye.